Oh, yeah. Get the jitters out, baby. We're live. So I think we should start by telling the people why we're here today. Besides, looking at your beautiful setup behind you, one of the most glorious podcast setups I've ever seen. You have the kind of like the fading light, almost like it's a dying star, and then you have the blank beige wall. So you could be
Yeah,
anywhere. Yeah, it's almost like the Edward Snowden setup on Joe Rogan, where he could be anywhere in the world. It's just a blank wall behind him as he's
yeah.
smirking to the camera.
I could be in Malaysia or Plainview, Long Island, and both are equally probable.
Or next door. I'm recording at
Or
at the apartment in Brooklyn where I live, and you could just be in the next apartment for all I know. You could have paid off the people to just record it there to do this
I
remotely.
am, I am.
I hope so. I hope so. So
But I'm digging
we
yours though, dude. So you got it. You got the posters, the lamp.
Oh yeah, no,
What
I
is it?
didn't
And then
even.
you have Dave is amazing. I think it says under the lamp, that sign on the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
It
No,
says Dave is amazing.
I didn't even realize all this is behind me. This is actually a green screen. I'm recording this from Kyiv, Ukraine. I'm actually in a war zone right now, and I have
Yeah,
this behind me. They're just missiles going off everywhere.
perfect, dude. Well, just
Um,
let me know. Let me know if you feel unsafe. I'm happy to push this if any missiles hit within 20 feet of you.
yeah, no, I may get shot in the face at some point during the recording, but I'll do my best to finish the segment before I pass away.
I'm thankful for that. Thank you.
Good. So we were trying to decide on what we were going to record this podcast about because this is for the aux, and we haven't done, or I haven't done a guest episode on the aux in a while. And you had watched the Stutz documentary on Netflix, which is
Hmm.
Jonah Hill recording his therapist and giving away tools for therapy
Hmm.
that have been useful to him and his therapist name, Jonah Hill's therapist, is named Phil Stutz. So the name of the documentary Stutz is his last name, and Jonah Hill somehow, I'm not surprised. His therapist also managed to therapize Jonah Hill during the
Hmm.
recording of the documentary, and it was recorded over a long period of time. I believe it was a couple years at least. And there's this whole um I don't want to give away everything, but there's just like there's a reveal at some point in the documentary about the recording process and why they were doing it this way.
Hmm.
And I found that pretty interesting. But that's what we're going to record the the podcast on today. So if you still want to watch the documentary, we're definitely going to get into some spoilers. I said I don't want to spoil anything, but there's no way to talk about it
That's
without
true.
spoiling some stuff. So if you want to watch the documentary, definitely go check it out before you listen to the rest of this. But if you're just
Hmm.
interested in listening to the podcast, um, and you want to hear our thoughts, I don't think it's going to completely spoil the documentary because you can't replace the actual art of what they created, no matter how much we talk about it. So I think it's still possible
Hmm.
to listen to this first and then watch it. But I think a good place to start would be with the life force pyramid that
Yeah.
Stutz, the therapist, brings up at the beginning. And he describes this pyramid of your life force, which is the thing that you focus on, whether or not you have a professional purpose in life. So if you don't know what the fuck you want to do with the rest of your life, if you don't know if you want to be a lawyer or skateboarder, podcaster, stand-up comedian, whatever, you always have your life force to focus on as your purpose. And at the top, or let's start with the bottom first. So the bottom layer of the pyramid, the widest, is your body, and everything
Hmm.
stems from your body. The middle layer of the pyramid that's slightly smaller is the people around you. So your
Yeah.
friends, family, loved ones. And then at the
Like,
top is you. So everything is stemming from the foundation of your body to the people to you. So I wanted to ask you, what did you think of that concept of the life force, and how would you say your life force pyramid balance is right now?
Yeah, actually, before I wanted to ask you before I answer that, what is the because it is you at the bottom and you at the top. I just want to importantly distinguish for people what was the difference there because I actually couldn't tell. Did he say because it's your body health at the bottom and then is it your spirituality at the top?
So yeah,
I
I
couldn't
so
tell.
I took it as in the film, Stutz describes it as the bottom layer is the foundation, that's your body. So physical, moving
Yeah.
around,
Okay. Yeah.
exercise, yoga, walking, just like doing anything that involves your body moving. That's the bottom
Yeah.
layer. The middle
Yep.
layer is the people around you, and the top layer, you. I This is my take on it. I took the you as more spiritual, and also just the practicality of spending time alone with yourself.
Mm.
So being able to
Yeah.
be by yourself, like just you, and learning about yourself beyond the physicality of it, your own
Yeah.
thoughts, being comfortable being alone. That's how I took it.
Yeah. That makes sense. That's kind of where my mind was heading
Hmm.
to. But yeah, I really like his take because I think he mentioned that he went through a MD education, psychiatry, and going through all of that. A lot of teachers would talk about be there, and I don't know if this is not exactly what you're supposed to do as a psychiatrist or psychologist, but just be there to listen and let the patient figure out their problems. And I've been in therapy before, and like that does happen sometimes, and other times they'll like flat out give you suggestions, but usually um they won't give your answers to you. They'll help you discover your answers. But I really like this pyramid because I think a lot of psychology can be vague sometimes, and you just want to see some type of transformation. I think he mentioned that too. So, like the easiest transformation, like you might be uncertain about so many things in your life. The first tangible transformation you can make is just working on your body right away. Like before trying to figure out like girlfriend, job, career, meaning in life, just work on your body. Go for a run each day. Start eating healthier a little bit. Get in tune with yourself. So I think like that's something uh, I've been trying to do, even if it's like really small, just like these small runs during the day, like trying to just accumulate these small walks or runs around the neighborhood and like just working on my body first before anything else. I like to take on that. And I know you exercise a lot too and do all these things like sauna and these like kettlebell workouts. So you probably I'd be interested in your take on it as well. But
Yeah.
I love the bottom of the pyramid. I don't think I was my whole life. I don't think I'm getting better at the relationship type of stuff, which is the middle, but I'm not, I haven't realized the importance of people as, as much as until the last 3 to 5 years, because I think we've been forced to be surrounded by family our whole childhood, and then high school and college. You're forced to be around people. Now it's like, holy shit, I'm alone in my room a lot, and I need a support system. So that's something that caught me out of left field, like the relationship stuff. I think you have to foster that to grow it,
Yeah.
or else it'll go away. But I'm interested in how you feel about it as well,
I I
because
was
yeah.
I was just thinking, how funny would it be if we just spent 20 minutes describing how much we work out and take care of our bodies and
Yeah.
go in the sauna, lift 2 kettlebells, and then people log on to the video version of this podcast and we're both 800 pounds just sitting there in our seats. We're just like, yeah, no, it's so important to take care of your body, like my body is a temple.
we're
And you just
just
look, and you log on, and we just look like the fucking fat slug from Star Wars, and you're just like,
we're yeah, I don't know how condescending I just sounded before, but imagine we were just
no,
yeah, the
you
Ben
didn't
Ben
sound condescending. I was in my
we're
mind. I was just
no,
like,
I
how
know.
wild
It's
would this
funny.
be?
We're just Ben Stiller in dodgeball at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, so someone needs to do that. Someone needs to become like a truly just like a truly fat positive influencer, but just in
Yeah.
just in a very unironic way. Like, I'm fat and I'm the way, and this is what I do, and this is how I
Yeah.
train. And someone needs to do something like that where they're just like, and this is me. I eat cereal. I eat 5 bowls of cereal in the morning, and every time I lift the spoon, that is 1 rep of a curl, and that cancels out the 17 bites that I have every time I
That's
dip
my
my
honey
spoon
bunches
into the cereal.
votes.
Yeah.
I'm with you,
Um,
dude. I want like just a big reveal. He's only audio, remote kind of podcast, and then
yeah,
there's just
like
a big. He finally comes to like a convention in person, and they're like, "This has, I think you messed up the speakers or something."
yeah, that makes me
Yeah,
wonder how important is it that your trainer actually
portion.
be in shape? Because that's such a big thing that if you're a personal trainer and people are going to you in person, that you want to be in shape because your body is like a billboard in that sense where people go, holy shit, I want to be trained by that guy or that girl. But what if someone was
Yeah,
giving you remote training, just sending you programs and talking to you on the phone? You had no idea what they looked like. And then a year later, you're in the best shape of your life and you get coffee with them and they're just like 600 pounds in a wheelchair, like barely moving. And you're like,
well, if you're
whatever, dude,
ripped,
give me good insight, you know?
I was say if you're ripped, it doesn't matter. You know, he could be he could be fat bastard from Austin Powers
That's true. That's true.
as long as you got the washboard abs.
That's true. Well, I agree with you with how important your body is and having that as a foundation to work out. I also in the documentary I liked how Stutz was giving Jonah Hill almost like prescription insights and prescription advice, but not actually medication. Like it wasn't about him prescribing Jonah Hill drugs to get better.
Mm,
Instead, he was giving him tools as a prescription for this is what you do. And we'll get into some of those tools. But like, this is something you can do that's, not a bottle of pills
hmm
that will help you feel better. And this is something that you can do right now in this session because I agree when you were saying a therapist, a lot of times you go to a therapist, you come in and the idea is that you talk yourself out of your own problems without a lot of
Yeah.
guidance. Like you just kind of talk and then the therapist lets you discover it. Imagine if you have depression. In a lot of ways, depression is a broken brain. So like let's compare someone that has depression to someone that has a broken leg and you go to the doctor and you could barely walk, you're on crutches
hmm
and you're just like, yeah, there's definitely a problem with my leg. And then the doctor's just talking to you and he's like, well, yeah, there is a problem with your leg. Like, how do you feel about this? And you're like, I don't know. I just want you to figure it out so you can tell me
Yeah.
what to do. Like, can you just give me an x-ray and tell me how to get better? And the doctor's like, well, no, let's talk about your traumas and like, and I'm not saying trauma isn't important, like talking about the past isn't important, but like
hmm
in therapy culture, there seems to be this sort of notion that you have to work through your entire past first before you start to become better in the present. And
Right.
I appreciated how Stutz was kind of like, fuck that. Like, we'll talk about your trauma, we'll talk about your past. But right now, in this session, here's 3 things you can do that will make you feel better today if you start doing this. And
Yeah. I like that.
he wasn't like, and I've only been in a few
It,
therapy sessions, so I don't really have a basis to judge it.
hmm
on a wide scale, but there was never any sort of, I feel like, a prescription in the sessions that we were a part of for, okay, you're feeling X, Y, and Z. Do this every day, or make sure you're doing this 3 times a day, or writing this down, telling how you're feeling, and then do this consistently, like you would take a pill, like you do this every day at noon, whatever, and that will make you start
Hmm.
to feel better. It was more just like talking through things, which made you feel better in the moment, but there wasn't a lot of perpetual guidance that would continue post session.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of, yeah. It's like the classic therapist is sleeping on the couch while you tell their issues, right? And you're just kind of
Yeah,
there, like, yeah.
just
or
kind
or
of
they
saying
like mom
nothing.
and dad. I remember you mentioned once. They're talking and they're like, "Wait, is a guy like are his eyes closing while we're talking about our marriage
Yeah.
or whatever?" And it's like, and it's like, why not give them hope by? I think you get hope from small wins, like crossing shit off your to do and shit, finishing things. So why not give you a little bit of hope? Like, oh, I just ran a mile. I just uh, refrained from Netflix today and Twitter or whatever, and I ate this healthily, and that's like an actual tangible thing instead of waiting 3 months and then having some like divine revelation, like, oh, this is the negative thought pattern that's been with me
Yeah.
for my entire life,
Yeah.
which
Let,
can be
let's
helpful, but why not feel like therapy's really working immediately, and then you kind of maybe you'll stay with it even longer.
let's do
Like,
a mock doctor's visit where I treat you like a therapist instead of a doctor, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how long you stay alive. So you come into me with heart attack symptoms, like you're in the middle of a heart attack and you're coming to the hospital.
ah, doc, my chest, it hurts a lot. What's going on? Doc, I think I can't. There's a shooting pain up my arm, and I think I only have seconds to live. I need if I'm going to see my wife tomorrow, I need you to help me. I need you to do something.
Wait. You said you have pain shooting up your left arm?
Yeah, it's coming up my left arm.
When's okay, think back in your life. When's the first time you felt that sort of pain?
Ah,
Think
ah,
back if you can. Think back.
ah.
Think back to the first time in your life where you felt a similar pain to this. Sir, can you please stand up? I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you.
I'm
Please
trying.
stand up.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm trying. Wait,
I'm
what was the
talking to you, sir.
question? What was the
Now, if you
question?
adjust no, I see you say that you're afraid that you're gonna die because you're never gonna see your family again. Your heart is killing you, and you feel like there's a grenade going off inside your chest. How does that make you feel, though? How does that make you feel, like, emotionally? Enough with the physical pain, because I get that it's kind of becoming boring at this point. Like I see this every day, like 30 times a day, and I think
Oh, my fucking god!
Sir, can you use words?
It makes me feel like my heart is stopped.
Now, do you think your heart is stopped because your emotions have stopped too? You've stopped processing your emotions? Do you think your heart is stopped because you've
You
stopped
know
being
what?
able to process your
Actually,
emotions?
actually, I thought about it, and now it's gone.
Exactly.
What was happening is that I was just really anxious about meeting someone at the market that I had a heart attack.
That's what happens.
But
I
it's
get I get
so
30 patients a day that come in with shooting pains down their left arm and chest. And the reason why 98% of them die is because they can't get in touch with their past traumas.
you know what?
It's not because they're not getting treated immediately with medical assistance. It's because I asked them, "Can you please stop screaming about your family and your mother? And can you stop telling me that you see the light and start telling me that you see your feelings?" That is how I solved the crisis.
Zach, you're a fucking genius.
Yeah,
You saved me.
you're welcome. End scene.
That was good. That was good. Perfect, dude. Perfect. It's as if we went to NYU
Do,
acting school right
doing
there.
I
That's I
I'm
love improv, dude. But unfortunately, that wasn't improv. I actually had a heart attack.
well, you're
But
fine now.
otherwise, I love improv. Well, now I'm fine because I
I
thought about the trauma from childhood and stuff
here's
like
a
that.
tangent. Here's a tangent. I so it's hard to keep a straight face over something Zoom when we're recording remotely. Imagine, like, we were just watching last week, we were watching compilation videos and bloopers of Will Ferrell
Yeah,
and doing improv scenes in like with Kenny Powers, Talladega Nights, Step Brothers, all these bloopers where they started laughing. I couldn't
yeah.
imagine having to keep a straight face in a scene with someone like Will Ferrell, that's one of the funniest people on the planet, if I can't even keep a straight face over Zoom. Like, that must be so fucking impossible to just
Yeah.
like. And he was making these
No, it's
killers crack up, like
who was it? Craig Robinson
Craig
and
Robinson,
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride, fucking who's the guy? His sidekick in Talladega Nights,
Mark. Oh
John,
no.
dude with the curly hair. He's in a bunch of
Yeah,
movies.
yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't imagine
He.
having to keep a straight face for that.
I no. I think you just have to get your giggles out. I don't know how. I don't know how else to do it. Get it out earlier, and then because what Danny McBride's literally in his face. They don't fucking laugh, motherfucker. Don't do it.
Yeah. W-
I mean, if Will Ferrell's face is touching mine, like his nose is on my cheek, there's no chance. And he's talking about his testicles. I mean,
And then he's
no
rubbing
chance.
them all over your face.
Yeah, exactly. I would laugh.
So
And
what we talked a little bit about the preconceived notions of therapy coming into this documentary, like the stereotypical therapist kind of just sits there and listens, doesn't really say much, doesn't give you practical advice. Did how did watching Stutz change the way that you view therapy? Did it make you more likely to pursue it in the future? Do you want to do more things to find the right therapist? How did your opinion of therapy evolve watching Stutz?
that's a good question. I have been blessed to have, I think, who our family has gone to and who have I've gone to has been a pretty solid therapist. But um, I would never I don't think I would ever give up on therapy. I don't think I ever would as a tool for my entire life because while people are out there that need, you know, mainly the pill because they have a very severe mental issue. And I'm not talking bad about pills at all. Some people definitely need it. Kanye West. There are people that who knows. I think, dude, therapy is invaluable. You could keep searching for people are going to be better than others. I think if I had Stutz, I would be like, this guy's awesome because he's trying to do he's trying, and maybe he wouldn't work. I mean, everyone works with different people, but I feel like he gives these like tangible goals that you mark off and try to fix about yourself. When someone's like kind of invested in you, you and really wants you to get better, I feel like you feel great. You have someone to go to. You feel like you're not crazy. They're hearing your issues. I would definitely say it's made me even more want to stay in therapy and keep uh, growing my own tools, you know,
Yeah.
throughout my life. It's a never ending process. So I know you said you've only done, a few sessions, but have you given any thought to doing more of it, or like, do you have your own self therapy ways of doing things like exercise and journaling, or like what do you like to do?
I do a lot of things that are therapeutic on my own, like meditation. I use the Sam Harris waking up app every morning for 20 minutes,
Hmm.
sometimes twice a day.
Yeah.
I work out. almost every day, whether it's Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, or swinging kettlebells, swinging a mace, dumbbells, things like that.
Yeah.
I journal a few affirmations in the morning. Um, and the thing that I've found keeps me doing the affirmations is being creative with them. So you can
Hmm.
change them up or take them away as you need them. Because I used to think that you always had to write, I am grateful for X. And those were
Right.
affirmations. They're kind of like the gratefulness journal. I had a few journals where it had a template that was given to you. So
Hmm.
you would have to basically finish the sentence.
Hmm.
And that was good to start. But now I write things more in the moment and I write things that I need at the time. So one of the things that I have been writing every day consistently in the morning is I prepare fully so that I give myself the freedom to follow my instincts. And that is for podcasting because I used to think that I needed to have everything written out for
Hmm.
podcasts, for notes, word for word. I'd have questions and long notes written out for
Right.
podcasts, which some hosts do, and it works great. Like Lex Friedman, I watch his podcast, and he has pages and pages of notes, which is what I used to do.
Right.
But
I've heard some of his. He actually sounds like he'll even. Well, I'll let you finish.
so yeah,
Yeah.
I used to have everything written out to a T, where I would go, okay, I'm gonna read this question off, and then I started to feel imprisoned by that process because I wasn't letting my mind wander and take over. And as a podcaster, that is your differentiator. That's what makes you different than every other podcaster. It's your mind. It's the way
Hmm.
that your brain takes things and reacts to them and
Hmm.
expands on them or goes on a tangent or builds upon another guest's thoughts. That is your differentiator, not the notes that you have in front of you. That's still important. And I do have brief versions of notes now. But I read a book called Greatness by Jay Billis, where Jay Billis he was a
Did you
really
say
good
Greatness by Shane Gillis?
Jay Billis.
Jay Billis. Okay.
They're both
No,
great.
no, I'm
They're
kidding.
both great at
Yeah,
what
yeah,
they do.
yeah.
Uh, I hope Shane Gillis calls his next special Greatness.
Yeah.
But Jay Billis was a really good basketball player at Duke, college basketball player. I believe he also played professional, and he's also a commentator. He comments on NBA games and college basketball games. And he was writing out his process and saying that he does all this research. He talks to the coaches, talks to the players.
Yeah.
He writes out, in detail and has all these really expansive notes. But then for the actual game, he only has a brief scouting report in front of him. It's very sparse notes, and it's
Yes.
not all the research and everything written out word for word. And he says that he only refers to it
Sorry.
very rarely on timeouts. Maybe he'll glance at it, but everything that he's doing in the moment is based on the preparation he did. But he does so
Yeah.
much preparation that he relies on his instincts. He's not just flying blind and hoping he gets it right. He's doing the research, building the foundation, and then he's relying on his instincts in the moment that's based on that foundation. So once I read
Yeah.
that, that changed my approach to podcasting where I consider the preparation just as important, but then I have less notes in front of me so that I can follow my instincts in the moment and focus more on the conversation. So
Yeah. Isn't it
I've
crazy how you had that in you naturally, but just by writing the affirmation, you feel better.
yeah.
You know.
So that's the story behind that affirmation. I did that recently. And so I have that now. I prepare fully so that I allow myself the freedom to follow my instincts. And
I love that. Yeah.
so I'll
That.
do that. Um, I do, I guess that would all be considered therapeutic, not therapy. But yeah, I've
Hmm.
only done a few actual therapy sessions. And you asked me, how did that change my view of therapy? The Stutz changed my view of therapy based on who I would look for in the future. And I would want a therapist that treats it more like a training session and less
Mm.
like a trauma vomiting session. Like
Right. Right.
I don't think that you need to go through everything in your past in order to create a better present and a better
Hmm.
future. I think it's important. And if it has to do with something that's a blockage in your present, for sure, bring it up, bring up the past. But
Yeah.
I want someone who's a therapist like Stutz, where he's prescribing things to do in the moment and he's training your spirit and he's training your mind to become more resilient and give you the tools to react better in the moment.
Hmm.
So that's how my view
Yeah.
changed. Like the therapist I look for in the future, I will look for someone like that that treats it more like a training session than more of a let's
I like
talk
that.
through this.
And I think your background is in athletics and um, activities where you like to see incremental growth and there's a lot of competition. And I feel like that would suit you because that's what you grew up with. Like a training, like you need something written out, like for a workout or something, or like a regimen. So that I feel like that would be a good fit.
Yeah. And it's funny you said Kanye West because I wrote down in one of the notes uh, that I have, I said there's something off in Kanye West's life force. Because as I was watching the documentary, I literally wrote that down when Stutz was talking about the life force. Because I watched the Runaway documentary recently, the 30
Mm.
minute film that Kanye put out. What was it, 13 years ago now, or so, 2009 maybe, when Runaway first came out, and it's one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen. And I was
Mm.
tearing up rewatching it recently. I watched it
Mm.
when it first came out, and then hadn't watched it in forever. And then I watched the Runaway film, and then I did it partially because of everything that Kanye was saying now about Jews and like anti-Semitic and saying that like the Jews are the problem and he's attacking whole groups of people instead of the individuals that fucked him over. And
Right.
I
Right.
was thinking while I was watching the Runaway documentary that I don't think it's possible for someone's brain to be functioning uh well, and I don't think it's possible for someone's life force to be in line with your body, the people around you, and yourself. I don't think it's possible to have all of that meshing together and also say the things that Kanye said based on
Mm.
the beauty that he's created in the past. Like I was watching the Runaway documentary thinking like how the fuck could someone be capable of such beauty and such creativity and then also have such a blind spot in the
Other things.
area, yeah, in the blind spot and other things.
Yeah.
And I don't know Kanye, obviously. Like I would love to talk to him. That would be fucking amazing. But yeah, I would bet a large amount of money that either his alone time, his body, or his friends and family, like there's either all three or like one of them in a major way is just out of line. And I don't know what it is. Maybe he has the wrong people in his ear. Maybe he's
Mm.
not moving and working out. It's possible that I know he said he's bipolar, being off his meds. Like you could be in a hypomaniac state and everything you're just like in this hyper energetic state and everything you say sounds amazing and you have all this energy and it feels great, but at the same time it could be very damaging. You're not really sleeping and things like that. So
Mm.
that made me I thought it was funny when you said Kanye West because I literally wrote that down while I was watching the documentary that
Yeah.
Kanye West's life force is unbalanced in a major way.
Yeah, that's funny. He should watch the documentary. Maybe he'll find some revelation will come to him from Stutz,
Or,
perhaps.
or
Uh,
Stutz do a therapy session with Kanye West.
I would. That's
Oh
if
my
that's the
God.
sequel. If that's a sequel to Stutz, I mean that's a pretty good, damn good idea. You know.
If someone's gonna
Jonah
get
puts that
through,
together.
yeah, if someone is gonna get through to Kanye West, it would be Stutz.
I think it. I think that's. I think you should pitch that because I'm sure Jonah's looking for part two.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Do you write it all? Because in the documentary they were talking about that. He said you can enhance your relationship with yourself by writing.
yeah, I do write. Not just I write online about things besides myself, but I write like I do it in phases. But the last couple weeks I've been journaling a lot, and I think it's a great medium to. I think your brain just jumbles tons of shit around. Not like most of it's not useful for the present situation. It's kind of just things, ideas you have, or I got to get this done. I got to reach this stat. Like I got to be this famous, or just tons of shit that don't help what you're actually doing, and you got to like splat it out on paper. And I've been doing it lately, and it doesn't all make sense. I don't think it has to. I think you just kind of get out your current thoughts, lessons, emotions, whatever onto paper, and you kind of see what you're dealing with as a person. Like these thoughts, you're like, oh shit, that was in my head. Like fuck, wow. Or you go back the last 5 pages and you wrote the same thing 5 times. You'd be like, oh, that's probably pretty important. I should look at that. And like you
Is
know.
there something like that that you can recall that's pretty important, like something you've been journaling over and over again?
Yeah, like take action in my career, probably like something like that. Like I just like because I'm like, but I'm between jobs right now, so I keep writing like don't think so much about what it actually is I go into. Just take some small steps into it, and just like make some decision with. I write like follow my gut a lot. Actually, I just say like, hey, when all else fails, your gut is probably telling you something important, so just go with that for your next step. I think I write that a lot, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's similar to what I've been writing. Kind of follow your instincts, follow your gut.
Yeah. 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 Do you have a common phrase or, uh, because I think you journal, right? Is there any, I mean, you don't have to say it because sometimes it's really private. Like some of the stuff I wouldn't even say what I write, but, like it's just like very personal, but like, is there a common phrase that you feel like is coming out? Or or like, do you get like revelation? Do you feel better after you do it? You get like these revelations, or is it more just like, all right, that shit's out of me, and now it's like, I'm ready to go, something like.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so the journaling I do by hand is mostly the affirmation stuff. So I guess it's hybrid journaling, hybrid affirmation, creative affirmations, whatever you want to call it, because I don't really have a set strict guideline that I follow with that. But it's more just 4 or 5 things that I write out in the morning, just 4 or 5 sentences.
Yeah.
One of them is the I prepare fully to allow myself freedom to follow my instincts. Another one is I make money doing what I love, and
Hmm.
also money is not the main, and also money is just a small slice of my fulfillment.
Hmm.
Another one is I treat people with kindness and I pay attention.
Right.
Another one is
That's a
I
good one.
I record conversations to learn, understand, and push back playfully. I don't record conversations to debate or
Hmm.
become defensive because then you just get locked into debate brain.
Unless it's about launch angle, then you have to win.
Unless it's about launch angle or anal. I am just for both of those. If someone says I
Yeah.
don't do anal, then I have to debate them.
Yeah.
But
We could do a whole separate podcast on launch angle and get dad in here, and we'll do like 4 hours on it.
exactly. Yeah, for
Dad'll just
people.
be saying shit like you'll be bringing up like actual PubMed articles, and Dad'll just be like, "It doesn't work. It doesn't work." It doesn't.
Yeah, for people listening that have no idea what launch angle is, congratulations. Probably a good thing you don't know what it is, but it's a term in baseball that's used to describe the path of the bat when you hit the ball. And in recent years, there's been much more attention paid in the game to the launch angle of the bat. So like swinging on an upward plane to lift the ball in the air because that gives you a better chance of getting on base, hitting home runs, extra base hits, things like that. And our dad is more traditional in a sense where he literally taught us as kids to swing flat and even down. Like I remember him demonstrating balls, like literally looks like he was chopping wood with a baseball bat, demonstrating a swing. And he was like, "Yeah, like you hit down on the ball, you
Is
hit down." And a lot of parents did that. There are a lot of coaches that did that. It wasn't just him. But no matter how much evidence we presented to him with these are articles that say you shouldn't swing like that, he would be like, "Nah, man, like dude, look at that one guy who played 40 years ago, you know? He was successful and you just have these
Ty Cobb? Yeah, no.
anecdotal references about why he was right with baseball and why the current data didn't matter, or whatever. And he's gotten better in recent years. I will say that if you tell him something, he's more likely to listen now.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
there was a
Yeah,
time
he
back
has.
in
I'll
the
give him
day
that credit.
where, yeah. But yeah, that's the launch angle thing. But yeah, I think, do you notice a difference when you write out stuff? Because I actually stopped journaling for a while and I don't know if I notice a difference. I just started doing it again just to change things up. But have you noticed a difference on months where you journal versus months where you don't?
Um, yeah, I think I do. It's not like a very apparent change. It's like maybe it's like a piece that you don't even know you have until you think about the times when you didn't journal. I don't know. I sometimes it's helpful for me to just go back and read what I wrote because it's like my logical brain is coming out like, David, you're doing these, detrimental actions in your life where you're stagnant in what you're doing, and then this is look at your journaling. That's literally telling you the place to fucking go. Why do you not listen to it? Like it's like telling me like all some issues I'm trying to resolve, but I won't like. It's helpful when I actually listen to what I'm journaling because it's like usually it's trying to tell me something. But so I'd say on months where I actually listen to what I wrote, yes, it's helpful.
Is there an
And sometimes
example
it's
of
like,
something? Is there an example of something that you weren't listening to for a long time and then you finally just
mm,
realized you're writing the same thing over and over again, and so you decided to go in that direction?
let's see.
Besides not murdering children,
I knew you were gonna
you,
just say, "Don't do it, don't
I
do it, don't do
should
it, don't do it,
stop
don't do it."
killing children. I
Exactly,
should
dude.
stop killing children.
And then eventually I
Fuck,
was like,
maybe
"All
I
right,
should
I won't
stop.
do it. I won't do it." Eventually, I was just
Yeah.
like, "That's it. I'm done. I'm done." I don't know. I feel like sometimes relationship stuff comes up in my journal. Like, I don't want to like get into just for multiple reasons. I don't want to get into exactly what I write, but like in terms of like whether relationships should start, keep going, and uh, there have been many times I've written about relationships, like a lot about that stuff. So
Yeah.
maybe that's telling me, wow, relationships are very important actually, because
Yeah.
it matters who you interact with. So I like while I can't get into very specifics, like there's I definitely do like to analyze. Like maybe I'm over analyzing, but I like to analyze the way and how much I interact with people. Yeah, and how long, what and whether that it should keep going or not, and maybe that's too structured. Um, but that's what that's what I've done. Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
when you have seven girlfriends at once, you journal about which one to keep and which ones you have to
Yeah.
break up with.
It's like, all right,
Like
which
you're
one's
just
gonna be?
like, this is
Yeah,
Brianna, Julia, Stephanie, Jessica, I feel this way about. And then
I think. Did you just pick
Michelle,
like? Do you just pick like Real Housewife names right there?
basically, yeah, those are the
Brianna,
first names.
Jessica, Michelle, Bree.
Yeah, just all wives from the valley that pop pills and drink white wine. And then
Exactly, dude.
yeah. So
Yeah,
what did you think about the what is it called? Part X. Remember Part X from the film?
yeah. That might
He
be
was
my
this
favorite part.
he was
No, actually,
describing.
pun intended. But yeah, I was gonna say that probably was my favorite section of the thing,
I thought your favorite part was part triple X, X
or
rated.
Triple X. Exactly, dude. Or Vin Diesel coming into the shot
Yeah,
as
exactly.
yeah, State
Part
of the
triple
Union.
X, the part of your life where you snowboard in the middle of an avalanche with machine guns pointing at you and things blowing up
Yeah,
in the background.
totally realistic. I could see him doing
It is. It is. It was a documentary, Triple X. Not many people know that.
it.
They just followed around Vin Diesel with a camera for 2 months, and they were like, he was like, "Oh wait, you were filming that? Okay."
And Jake Gyllenhaal's documentary was Nightcrawler,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. Exactly. He should do some
We should.
journaling.
Yeah, he needs that. Uh,
Uh. So yeah, Part X.
What
We
did
should
I? You want me to?
define. Yeah. Well, before we talk about it, we should define it. So Part X. Stutz describes Part X to Jonah Hill as the antisocial part of you, like the part of you that stops you from growing and stops you from wanting to connect to yourself and other people.
Yeah,
And that if you this part is always there. Jonah Hill describes it as the villain in the story. If you are the hero, if you're the main character, then Part X is the villain, and you both need
yeah,
each other. You both need each other because the hero and the villain both find purpose in the other, because without the hero, the villain won't have anyone to try to stop him, and without the villain, the hero has nothing to feel like he
hmm
needs to take care of to give him the purpose. And like this battle between growing and shrinking. So
mm.
what did you feel about that Part X when he was describing it?
That shit's real, dude. We talk shit to ourselves our entire lives. It's like fucking insane. Or at least some people. Everyone has at least a little bit of it. I think it's like for no reason. We have this like it's probably the the primal area of our brain that we
Yeah.
needed a lot more back then when grizzly bears were running at us and we were hunting for food. But now it's like we're just trying to climb a career ladder, and there's some voices that's just like, you're a little bitch and you don't deserve this at all, and you should just fucking not try, or something like that. Or like, you can't get that. There's no way you're gonna, get that done. Why are you even going for that? Or it's like, oh, you 100% have man boobs, something like that.
Yeah.
When you're looking at yourself. But I think that's important to. Oh, I love how he. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I love how he says put it in like a box and objectify it, because then that's so great, because then you're able to be like, oh, that's a separate entity from me, that part of my brain, and I could just, oh, that, the Grim Reaper's here again. I gotta, take care of him. I gotta,
Yeah.
I gotta like get rid of him because he's talking shit again, and it's not even true. You know?
Yeah. It makes me wonder, thinking about Part X and the voice inside your head that tells you, no one likes you, nothing you make is good, whatever, blah, 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 that voice of negativity. That makes me wonder what the evolutionary benefit is of having Part X in your brain and in your life, because anxiety for sure is evolutionarily beneficial. Like the feeling of danger and having to get yourself out of physical danger because
Yeah.
running away from fucking saber-toothed tigers back in the day, humans needed anxiety when they saw something that threatened them because it pumps you full of adrenaline, cortisol, and it gives you the energy to get away. But like, what is the evolutionary benefit of a an early human walking around his tribe and being like, dude, no one fucking likes me. Fucking Ted thinks
Yeah.
I'm a little bitch. Like, what is the
Yeah.
benefit
Well,
of that? Why did that stay in evolution? Like, what is the benefit of a voice in your head? Like, you're trying to start a fire with flint and your whole tribe's relying on you to do it, and a voice comes inside your head like, you're such a little bitch, like you'll never be able to start this fire. Like how is that helpful at all? Why did that instinct survive?
I, you know, think before it was this adrenaline system, like the HPA axis. If you remember, it's just like this axis that just shoots adrenaline into you, and that's like this primal thing that we still have to fight or flight. But maybe it's
Yeah.
kind of just now it's just turned into questioning ourselves, like fear of the unknown and fear of failure rather than fear of bears and fear of being absolutely obliterated by Genghis Khan. Now I'm just fear of now I'm just like fear of failure and fear of things that wouldn't kill us. You know, like that's crazy that most people would rather die than give a speech. Like some people on a survey, they're more scared of giving a public speech than dying, and that's ridiculous because you're never going to die in front of a crowd unless you're assassinated. So it's like, why does the system work like that? I don't know. Are we going to change in the future because we are not hunted by bears anymore or tribes? Maybe. Probably will take a while, but the fear system is insane. Like, it lies to you that you're going to die when you get up on the stage. You're going to walk down fine, even if you get booed off of it. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah. Yeah,
You
it's
know?
like so
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like we had a lot of physical threats 50,000 years ago, and our system was aligned for that, for walking around nature and then being threatened by other humans or other animals. We had society was much more violent. It was a much higher risk of being alive back then, so our system was firing on pretty high cylinder all the time to keep us safe.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we evolved, we have better technology. You can do basically anything without leaving your house and having to encounter danger and being in fear. So it's like we have this system that was evolved to keep us on high alert. And now, without the physical threat, you're saying we we shifted that alarm internal, and the result of that is these thoughts manifesting themselves in the form of negativity that tell you you're a piece of shit, or like, don't do this, this person hates you, you'll never be successful, blah blah blah. Like back in the day, that energy would have been worn out by
Mm.
thwarting physical attacks. Like that would have been a useful anxiety, where today that's just kind of leftover anxiety that we don't really
Yeah.
need, doesn't serve a purpose, but it's just hardwired into our DNA because we're
Yeah.
much more sedentary society.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's absolutely essential to get the energy out that we're not using anymore, which is working out. Get the
Yeah.
energy out of ourselves to calm these thoughts. I think
Yeah.
I think
I
that's part.
I do feel like that. I feel like, you know, going 2 days without working out in a row is the max that I have before I start to feel off. And then when I don't work out for 3 days in a row, I something is misaligned with the way that my thoughts are firing. Like I have too much energy. I haven't drained myself, so there's much more of this alertness that can be redirected into anxious thoughts, that part X. And so I definitely feel the notion of kind of every day draining the battery. And it doesn't have to be a super hard workout every day, but doing something physical and then having that kind of dim the lights on your anxiety so that it's not firing on a
Mm.
regular basis. Like it's not telling you, because it's like it's very real in the moment when you're getting these thoughts and you start to believe them. And only through years and years of meditation have I been able to see a lot of these thoughts for what they are. And
Hmm.
I still get intense bouts of anxiety, but it's nowhere near what I used to get.
That's good, dude. That meditation's another good one, but that's
Yeah.
good that you deal with it better.
Yeah, but I feel like if I did have to choose one, if I had to choose working out or meditation, I would definitely still choose the working out because meditation is
Hmm.
great for recognizing anxiety and de-escalating the anxiety, diffusing it in the moment. But
Hmm.
working out is almost like this preemptive cutoff to anxiety where you literally don't have enough energy to be anxious. Like you're just fucking dead.
Yeah.
I've had times where I'm literally, mid panic attack and I start working out and it sucks. But then 20, 30 minutes into the workout, my panic is gone. And then 30 minutes after I'm working out, I'm just so fucking dead that even if, something was attacking me, I'd still be kind of chill. Like I'd freak out, but like I would be so chill and so relaxed in the moment that I'd be like, I don't even have the energy to fucking deal with this right now. So if it was my thoughts attacking me, it I would feel the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, well, those are tools, so that's good. I mean, those are probably, I don't know if he mentioned the, well, yeah, he did. That's the base of the pyramid tool, taking
Yeah.
care of your body. So, um, I forget what we were, oh, journaling. I guess we were originally in
Yeah, or the
journaling,
the
but
part X, part
part
X.
X. Yeah. So, oh, and maybe I did give my take on it, and I guess you did. I guess you kind of did too there
Yeah.
on stuff on addressing those things.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
I'm gonna do a green tea refill and then I'll be right back.
All right. I'll chop my head off.
So I wanted to talk about one of the quotes that Stutz says um, when he tells Jonah Hill that Parkinson's made him aware of time, and
Mm,
you find out that he Jonah Hill's therapist has been struggling with Parkinson's for a very long time, and when he got diagnosed with Parkinson's, it doesn't say what age he was, but I think Stutz, he's like 80, 78 or 80 in the documentary. I forget how old he
yeah, and
says he is.
yeah, and
And
it did show a picture of him. It looked like he was like 30 or like 25.
I thought he
Yeah.
was in his 30s or 40s. And apparently Parkinson's medication is pretty good because if he's had it for 40 years and he's not really shaking that badly at 78 years old, then that's pretty good. I would have thought it would be out of control by now, but he was pretty solid in the documentary. He was doing push-ups.
Hmm. Hmm.
And he says that Parkinson's made me aware of time and that once he got Parkinson's, he started living his life more fully because he got a wake-up call where basically if you get a Parkinson's diagnosis or cancer or whatever at a very early age, that kind of reshifts the way you think about time and your values in life.
Hmm.
And it gave me the thought experiment or the idea of what if there was a pill that could give you the feelings of getting a cancer diagnosis without actually giving you cancer. So like you just had almost like an existential pill where it just made you reframe the way that you thought about life. And maybe it didn't last forever. Maybe it lasted for like a month or something. But if there is a medication in the future that could just give you a boost in periods where you needed it, where you just felt super out of touch with the way you were spending your time and your values, and you got something. And then when you
Yeah.
took it, you just got this instant fear of holy, or not like fear, but almost like a reshift in the way you're thinking, like, holy fuck, I'm gonna die. It's not, it's probably not right now or soon, but I'm gonna die. And you start to reframe the way you think about your life, much like a person that's given a terminal diagnosis. And I know Parkinson's isn't a terminal diagnosis, but like, and this guy's been alive with Parkinson's for a while, but like something that kind of shocks your system into thinking like, yeah, let's go. Like that gives you the shock without the disease,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, um,
And I gave you this pill
I,
before the podcast. So you're
I've thought
probably going to
about
be
that
in fear
too.
for your life.
You know, I've thought about that too. Um, it's almost like a sick thought to think like, I wish something, terrible, like Kevin Hart, like, grew up in like some shit slot, like street in Philadelphia, right? He's like one of the biggest hustlers, and
I thought that was Fresh Prince
he's,
of Bel-Air.
oh, it's also, it was actually, no,
West
I'm thinking of,
Philadelphia, born and
yeah.
raised. Kevin
Yeah.
Hart
And
is where I spent most of my days.
chilling out, maxing, waxing on cool, no stepping on Kevin because he's on, and, so it's almost like this sick thing where it's like, oh, I wish I had something bad happen to me. You don't ever want to wish that on yourself, but it's like, oh, I wish I had that something crazy happen to me so that I have this extreme sense of, wow, life is precious, and I have to stop acting like I have like 15 lives here. I have one life. As far as we know, we don't remember the last one. Maybe we're freaking reincarnated, but as far as we know, we have one life. And a lot of people walk around, it's obviously good to take breaks, take care of yourself, but a lot of people, the sense of urgency is hard to have uh, a lot of the time. And when you have like, I don't know, like a leg blown off in the war, or your friend dies, or like what Stutz has, a disease that is, he has the clock is ticking for him. He's probably like, okay, I got to get going on my, he did a degree, so he's probably like, oh, I got to get going on my MD and start helping people before it overtakes me. And that's actually an interesting concept. I mean, people have taken what you described, made me think of, people have taken herbs or ayahuasca, things like that, to get that sense of extreme time distortion, where they're like, holy fuck, this is what matters. And I need to, they have these revelations about what they need to finally get out of a rut. A lot of people are in ruts, I think.
Yeah.
And it definitely makes you, maybe, and it might make you appreciate things you didn't, things you didn't appreciate before, you might actually appreciate. Maybe it wasn't your career. It was like, oh, I need to see my family more. I need to see friends more. I need to enjoy nature. I need to travel more. It wasn't just going after this thing. Maybe when you get a diagnosis, you're like, oh fuck, I need to take care of those things. But you'd be a trillionaire if you made a pill that was like that. That you could just like pop in the morning and you're like, all right, here we go. Let's fucking do this, dude. Wait, 4 million lines of code? Let's go, dude. Time is precious. Let's do this.
Oh, yeah. I got a version of that pill once through an experience. Did I ever tell you the story of me and Julie climbing Saddleback Mountain in the Adirondacks?
No. But oh, I just remember you saying it was really tough or something, but I
Yeah.
don't think you told me the experience. Just went up there,
So
by
I
the
don't
way,
know. I don't
recently,
know
but
if
yeah.
so. I don't know if we actually spoke about the experience specifically, but I went hiking with my girlfriend Julie overnight. So we did an overnight at Saddleback in the Adirondacks. We had a pack, we had a tent, it was 18 miles round trip. So we split it up into 2 days, a lot of very steep parts. So we were only able to cover about 9 or 10 miles each day. And the second day, one of the peaks we had to summit and go over was Saddleback Mountain. And unbeknownst to us, there are comments on all trails that say things like, holy fuck, this isn't safe, or there should be holds here on the mountain. You know, what the fuck? This is crazy. This is way more dangerous than it has to be. But we didn't see those. And so we were hiking Saddleback and we were going up, and it starts to get really sketchy. Like we were going over, we were semi bouldering, like our feet, it wasn't just hiking anymore. Our feet were leaving the ground. We were climbing vertically,
Wow, dude.
doing legit climbing with
Jesus Christ.
40-pound packs, because we had packed overnight. We have tents, food, utensils, water, all this stuff with us. And we get to one point where it gets steeper and steeper, and we had to climb about 30 to 40 feet vertically. So like our feet were off the ground,
Yeah.
where I don't want to call it free soloing because it wasn't that steep, but it was in an area where if I fell or if one of us fell, there wasn't a ledge that was a fat lip. It was a very skinny ledge. So if we fell, there's a spot where you would kind of just hit and then keep tumbling down the mountain. And it was
Hmm.
also, straight rock. So you, at least you would have broken your leg. At most, you could have died if you just kept rolling and you weren't able to stop yourself and grab on.
Mm.
So there was a moment where me and Julie were literally contemplating, should we either wait for climbers with ropes, because there were some people who were climbing that section with ropes, which is ridiculous now thinking back that we just did it um, with packs
Jesus
on,
Christ. Yeah.
or legitimately call park rangers and try to get saved, like have someone come take us out. And I don't know if they would need a helicopter or something or whatever, but I was like, I don't want to climb this. And we both didn't want to climb it because the cost of fucking up could be death. And
You couldn't turn around though, or
no, it was harder to go down. It was like what we just went up, it would be easier to climb up again than when we then go back down, because it was such a steep ledge and we weren't really paying attention while we were climbing, because we kept thinking, oh, this has to be, every time we'd go up a ledge, we kept thinking, oh, this has to be the hardest part. Oh, this has to be the
yeah.
hardest part, because it said nothing, like all trails, it had it as hard. But like usually if all trails says something is hard, it's challenging. It's not life threatening.
Hmm.
And on hard spots in the past, there have been handles and grips, like actually like artificial handles to help people cover
Hmm.
these cliffs, but there was none of that. And so I had my pack on and I told Julie to stand by the ledge, by the lip, and then if I fell, try to slow me down, but don't hang on to me, because if I fall down, like I could drag you down. So I started climbing up this lip first, and then my feet left the ground. And I should say it wasn't that hard. Like it wasn't technically hard. It was probably like a V1,
Yeah.
maybe a V2 in bouldering. So the one of the easiest climbs you could do. But we
Yeah.
also had these heavy packs on, and if we fucked up, it could be our life, and at least a broken leg for sure,
Hmm.
or something broken,
Yeah.
because it wasn't even sliding down at that point. It was like a legit fall. Um, and so I was climbing up that thinking, like in the moment, intense adrenaline rush, like the most adrenaline I've ever felt in my life, but also thinking in the moment, uh, if it, I wasn't thinking this while I was climbing, but before I was thinking like I could die right now. Like this is how people die when they go climbing. Like they do shit like this
Yeah.
and then they fall. And this is how people get their stories in the paper. And so I just like blocked that out of my mind, was climbing, finished it, was watching Julie do it. She had a lighter pack, but like it was still dangerous, obviously. And I was able to help her up like once I got up. And then once
Yeah.
we finished that, there was an even steeper climb. Like, and it was so difficult that
No
it was
way.
it was almost hilarious. And I literally said to Julie, like it was a cliff face. There was nowhere to hold on. Like there was a
Are you sure
crack.
this was the main? This is the main trail
We're
to
pretty
do?
so now we think we could have gone off trail, but the white markings were there. We were following white markings the whole time, and they had white markings on this cliff. So it's possible we could have went on a climbing path instead of the hiking path if they're two different paths because we saw people going the opposite direction with dogs and children. So we're like, there's no fucking way they're doing the same shit as us because we thought we were gonna die and
Hmm.
we're not experienced boulderers, but like we're pretty good shape. If there's a challenging hike, we could do it. We've done hard hikes
Yeah.
before. I saw the rest of the trail with the cliff, and it looked like there was a crack. Like we would legit have to climb technically up this crack 70
What
or
the
80 feet with
fuck?
40-pound packs on. And I told Julia, I was like, we're gonna die if we try this. We have to get lifted out or wait for climbers with ropes to come to help us. And literally as we were saying that, a guy comes our way and he says, "Hey, just to let you guys know, I left a rope off the trail I'm climbing." He put a rope in place, left it, and we found this little crevice where we went to the right of the main trail where the white markings were on the cliff face, and we got to this guy's rope, climbed up to his rope, got on the summit, and checked the other side just to make sure, we weren't in we weren't gonna have to do more shit like that on the way down. And
Hmm.
in that moment was the biggest rush I've ever had of holy fuck, I'm so happy to be alive right now. Because I was legitimately climbing right before that thinking I could die right now. And there's no
Then there's a
bigger
bigger one.
and yeah, and then there's a bigger one. I wouldn't have tried it. I would have said we're
I'm
getting
glad you
lift
didn't. I'm
helicopter
glad you
out of
didn't do
here.
that. That sounds fucking
Um,
insane,
and
dude.
then when I got to the top of that summit, I felt the biggest gratefulness to be alive that I ever had because in my mind, and maybe it's a little bit more dangerous or it's a little less dangerous than I'm remembering, but like we talked to other hikers that did the same thing that we did when we finally got back to the base. And they were saying, like, yeah, we threw our packs up because they had smaller packs than us. They threw it up so they didn't have to have it on their bag. So it just kind of sit on the
Hmm.
top ledge over the cliff. And they were saying that they're literally like hugging the cliff, thinking like, holy fuck, we could die right now, going slowly up.
That's insane.
And
I'm just reading Reddit
yeah,
comments on it, and this guy's like, I felt like Alex Honnold doing it. And he's like, you don't want to be in a rainstorm
dude, if it was
doing
raining,
that.
we would have been dead.
Yeah,
100%. Like I was
yeah.
thinking that on the way down that if like we're so lucky it was nice weather out because I wouldn't have even attempted that in the rain. And if I did, I could
I'm glad
legitimately
that
be dead
you're.
right now.
I hope if you're in the same situation again, just call a chopper or some shit like that, or wait for a guy to grab. But there's
Yeah.
literally no other safe route at all to advance or go back.
So we may have went the wrong way, but
No, I
when
mean like
we
from your point that you were at,
oh no,
that
because
was the only option.
going down what we just went up would have been more dangerous than continuing to
Okay.
go up. And what we went up was just on the like I was convinced that there was a way to do it without dying. And I think if I did that 100 times, like I'd probably be able to do it like 75 or 80 times
Oh Jesus
successfully.
Christ. Oh
So
my God,
so
dude. Don't tell me that.
in my mind, I was thinking like this is the maximum of what I would do, and I think
You
we
give yourself
could
the
do it.
miracle speech before and then do it.
Basically, yeah, we were pumping ourselves up. Like we were like, it's gonna be fine. We'll just fucking do this. We'll help each other
So
through it.
if you had to compare that to like Breakneck Ridge, much harder, much steeper, much harder. That
Much steeper, much harder.
much
Breakneck Ridge.
because you are on all fours on that, but it's
It's
not
not vertically
vertical.
climbing. Yeah, yeah. This was
Yeah.
vertical. Like you're at a 90-degree angle. if you fall, you're not sliding. You're literally just free falling. You'd bounce on the ledge and then you'd hopefully stop yourself. But if not, just tumbling down into nothing.
Jesus
And
Christ, dude! I didn't know. Well, yeah, don't tell mom and dad because they'll be like,
no,
she'll have
I
the.
think you were. I think you were with mom and dad when they were asking me about it, which is why I didn't go into detail. But that's actually what happened. And so that was my version of the pill, if one existed,
Yeah, that's
of being able to take a pill that made you more grateful for life without having any sort of disease,
yeah,
like doing climbing Saddleback with packs on and making it through was absolutely insane. Like that is such a dangerous trail, and it was like if something is hard on all trails, it should be challenging, but the cost of fucking up shouldn't be getting seriously injured. I don't
right.
I think that goes beyond hard. That goes into expert level where it should say something like you should have ropes here or you because other people were using ropes. Like that guy we
Yeah,
passed was climbing that section with ropes.
that's
So
crazy, dude. Dude, it's no joke. I mean, when I was doing the Colorado 14er, no imminent dangers or anything. Actually, the approach road was insane, but it was like cliffside coming up the road, very rocky, but no imminent danger. But my friend Stan was like, "Yeah, dude, I got the other day a guy, did a 14er. You don't think something's gonna happen to you, but he got caught in a snowstorm and just died. Like he just like went up to hike. I think it was like an overnight hike, and an unexpected storm came in, and just like that was it. So
what
it's
did
like
he freeze to
you don't.
death or something?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And like the odds are very slim, but like it's definitely no joke. Like you want to let people know where you're going and like, just be very like, study what you're doing because like that can happen to you. It's nuts. It's
So he packed. So I
yeah,
guess he didn't pack for the weather. Then obviously, if he was planning on staying
something
overnight,
something like that. It might have gone down to. Yeah, I'm assuming he did not have like overnight snow wet clothes.
yeah,
I'll try to look it
yeah,
up and send it to you, but there's always these weird it does say every year on 14ers, and I'm sure Adirondacks too, because Adirondacks are probably the hardest hikes in New York, right? Or the
yeah.
Northeast. I'd probably there's always a few people that are some crazy freak thing happens, like a rock slips or you go the wrong way or or a storm system comes in or something like that. So that's crazy, dude. I'm glad you're still here because
Yeah,
I would
me
have
too.
been like, because then that would have been something where like we couldn't even do anything because we didn't even know, like, unless you have radios, can't even, you can't call anyone.
Julie
It,
was with me, so in my head, I thought if I get hurt, she could at least call someone or get help, and I would just lay there. If I didn't die, and also if I got up, it was a ledge where she wouldn't have to do the whole thing. I could reach and help her get up. So
yeah,
it wasn't. If I was alone, I would have been like, "Fuck!" If I even break my leg, there's no way I could even let someone know that I'm down here. Like, I would just
yeah,
have to.
yeah.
Uh,
Trying to find a
what
right
did
one.
you,
Yeah.
do you have a moment like that where it kind of shook you into appreciating life more, whether it was near death experience or just like something that happened that was quick, like a car, like in a car or something like that?
Um, let's see.
An attack by a squirrel or something, like a rabid squirrel.
I it was, you know what, to me, I guess what immediately comes to my mind, this is like more depressing, but like my friend that was like my age passed from, cancer or whatever. So like
Mm.
like everyone knew it was going to happen, but like just actually like going in and seeing him not alive in a room was really weird to me and sad, but also just surreal because he's my age, and I was just talking to him, years prior to this. So I'm like, how is this possible? I was like, my mind was like, how is this happening? Right? I don't really know how this is possible. Even though I know it's possible, when it's like your close friend, you're like, what the fuck? And so that like made me like, oh shit, I need to. Like tomorrow's not guaranteed at all. You could have something come up, like you just said, and like whether it's like a slow burning thing or a sudden slip off a rock, like tomorrow is not guaranteed. So I think that would be one of them. I never had really, knock on wood, I never really had any physical really close calls, but other than just being like scared on a fucking flight home from Vegas, like just really bad turbulence once. I was like, oh my god, like
What was it open?
something.
Was your friend's funeral, was it open casket? You said you
Yes,
could see
yeah,
him.
yep,
Do
yeah.
you remember any
So it was,
specific thoughts, what you were thinking
yeah.
at the time when you walked into the room and you saw your friend laying there?
I was just like, you know, I don't know. I think I think I was just blocking everything out. To be honest, I was trying not to. I was trying to hold it together because like they were just like his family was just there, and I was like, it was so. I don't know. Maybe I was just like I'm not sure if I want to remember him like this, but I guess I have to because it's the right thing to do. But I was just trying to console their family. I went up, you just walk up to them and talk to them, but you don't want to remember. All I remember is that he was a baseball kid, so I was like, he'll be happy. Every baseball kid was there, so I was just thinking, oh, he'll be happy that we all got together and like we actually went out and like had some drinks and hung out. So he's like, oh, I was thinking like, oh, he'll be glad we actually did this, brought us together. But yeah, that
Yeah.
was that was something. I don't know if you ever, anyone your age or your friend you lost, but like it is kind of weird and makes you think about stuff. But it's that we're here somehow still. But and what the fuck happens after once you're gone? But at least while you're here, make the most of it.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
That's
no,
my red matrix pill that I got.
yeah. Yeah, I mean that it doesn't even have to be a near death experience to make you think that. It could just be experiencing death and experiencing death in a circumstance where it's unexpected, like a friend who's your age when you're in your 20s and seeing someone laying there and thinking like, holy shit, this is just a genetic roll of the dice essentially that could strike anyone.
Yeah,
Because if you get cancer that early, chances are it's not from your habits, it's something programmed into your DNA.
yeah, and
And
that
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 yeah.
I was gonna say that's like a scary thought that could happen at any point. And it's not just old people getting cancer. People in their 20s and 30s get cancer all the time. It's not as common as people getting it when they're older, but it still happens a decent amount.
Yeah, exactly. That with all the healthy shit you do, sauna, whatever, eating that I try to do, something could still come up. So you just feel like helpless, like what the fuck? Like I did everything possible,
Yeah.
and or you're just born at the wrong time in history where that's not treatable yet. So, but yeah, that's
What did you
yeah,
think of the shadow in the documentary? The shadow, Stutz and Jonah Hill describe it as the part of you that you're ashamed of, or the part of you that you're scared to show to the world. And
yeah,
Jonah Hill described his shadow as the very obese version of himself as a teenager, and how
yeah.
he was rejecting that part of himself. What did you think about that part of the documentary when Stutz was talking about the shadow and like how you should treat your shadow and things like that?
Yeah. That was so like yeah, that was that he yeah, he described that as something you don't want to like face, right? kind of,
Yeah,
or
like
something kind of looming.
the version of yourself that you block out or you're ashamed of, that
Yeah.
you've become a different version of yourself in the present, and there's past versions of yourself that you're ashamed of, whether it's physically, the way you looked, like in Jonah Hill's case, the way you treated people, the way you
So
handled
I
things
I have
emotionally.
I have mixed thoughts on that because I think you should accept yourself. Like, I think you should accept your shortcomings. Like when you, let's say you're not good at approaching, the opposite sex, and you go to a bar or restaurant, and you're like, and if you just like, if you don't accept it, you might be so conscious of it, and you might just like not walk up and to anyone at all and just think about it and feel like, oh, this will ruin my night because I don't know how to like, I don't know how to say hi to people. And but if you're totally accepting of your image, then I think you would approach someone because you're just like, you know what? I hope they like who I am, and I hope they appreciate me. And this is my fault. I'm not perfect. So
Yeah.
I think it helps you not. I think it helps you not be a perfectionist. On the other hand, um, if you look at someone like David Goggins, who I like looking at, I he basically describes himself as like just conquering like his inner bitch and not, looking himself in the mirror and seeing a 320-pound guy and saying that guy can be immensely improved. Like, I'm not going to accept that. That's not healthy. I'm not going to be in this job that I don't like. So I'm going to do something about it. So it's like, I think it's actually like a balance of accepting who you are, but also being willing to improve yourself. I think it's actually a
Yeah.
mix of that. You should talk well to yourself, not delusional, but you should be your best friend, but also want to improve, I think.
Yeah, I saw more that way when they were talking about having to accept your shadow and treating your shadow well and the past version of yourself. And when I think of past versions of myself, like when I was chubbier as a teenager, more insecure, like yes, I accept that that was a part of my life and that's a part of who I was, and part of that will always be part of my psyche. But on the other hand, I do think there needs to be a counterbalance to that with the David Goggins shit where you're conquering your inner bitch. You're not just accepting your shadow, but you're seeing what was harmful about that version of you or what was unfulfilling about that version of you, and you're shedding it like a snakeskin. Like at some point that shadow becomes no longer useful to revisit and keep accepting, just like when a snake sheds its skin, you don't need to keep it around. It just fucking disintegrates and becomes part of the earth. You don't have to constantly acknowledge like this is my old skin, this
Yeah.
is my old being. I think it is useful to acknowledge that part of you, and at the same time, once you kind of work through it, just be like, all right, that's gone. I don't need to keep fucking
Yeah.
reminding myself of that person anymore, because in a way that can stunt your growth.
Yeah, I agree. You can level up. There's no harm in leveling up at all. I mean, be grateful for what you have, but don't fear improving. I think
What
I
would
the part I've had trouble with is being grateful for what I have and what I've done. I don't think you can just only look at, oh, I need to get to the next level. I think you have to like appreciate where you are and what you have a lot.
So you have the most trouble with gratefulness, you would say?
Yeah, if out of those two, I think I've always looked towards improving, but I've never like sat down and been like, "Oh, I have all four limbs. I'm breathing. I'm alive. I have family that I love. I have uh I have a house to live in. People pay for my education. I'm in a relatively safe part of the world." Uh, and I that those things I never really would think about. I would take it for granted. And I'm like, I need to be better. I need to be like perfect. But I'm starting to, acknowledge those things more, I think.
What do you feel like is the blockage when you can't connect to those feelings of being grateful for simple things? Like just having your health or having your limbs, things like that?
Um, the blockage is usually that I'm in some type of frenzied pursuit of perfection, I think. And I'm not good enough, I think. So I'm actually just focused on like, why am I not, I don't know, why am I not making this much money already? Why don't more people know about me? Why am I not at this level yet? Where actually, I think you could solve your issues by first acknowledging how far you've come in life. Don't forget that.
Mm,
And then that's your foundation. You know, you are actually a great person that needs and sure you can work on yourself, but don't forget about the work you've put in. Like we've been on this earth for 25 plus years. We've put in so much work, but sometimes you completely forget about it.
yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah, I
yeah.
feel that way. I feel that way sometimes too, like where you said frenzied pursuit of perfection. I think that's a great way to put it because I I hold myself to such a high standard with podcasting that when I don't incorporate greatness or when I don't incorporate gratefulness into my regular routine, I start to put too much pressure on myself where I think like, oh my, like this podcast is make or break. I'm having this guest on and they're a big guest. And if this doesn't go well, I'm never going to record another good conversation again. And everyone's going to see I'm a fraud and I'm an
Hmm.
imposter. And there's so many better podcasters than me. All these things pop up in my head that are creative blockages. And then when I remind myself to just think about things that I'm grateful before recording an episode, especially, that lifts the veil of that frenzied anxiety for me. And I start to
Yeah.
think more along the lines of, dude, I'm in fucking an apartment in Brooklyn doing what I love, working towards a goal. And even if I never, achieve the quote unquote like perfect state of podcasting, which doesn't exist anyway, or perfect state of a person,
Hmm.
then I still have my health, I still have my family, girlfriend, friends. Like, if this podcast sucks, then I still have all of that, and that lifts the pressure almost immediately. Like, it's crazy how much just 30 seconds of grateful, focused thinking can
Right.
improve the way that you tackle a task.
Yeah, dude. Like, have you ever been um, have you ever had the thought like, oh, I hope I say like the perfect thing, like say like Mark Norman's come in. Have you ever been worried like, oh, I hope I ask the perfect questions, you know, or I don't
Early on
forget
in
what I'm. Yeah,
podcasting, Early on in podcasting, I thought that Mark Norman was that was 150
that was
episodes
later on.
deep.
Yeah, yeah,
So I definitely felt pressure because he was a big guest and he's a huge personality, such a quick thinker. He's on his feet, just has comebacks for everything, or just like responses to everything that are funny.
yeah,
So I definitely felt the pressure in terms of that. And to combat that, I just reminded myself, don't treat this differently. Talk to him like you do anyone else, and he's going to be funny. That's what he does, and you just listen and
yeah, yeah,
respond. But
exactly.
earlier on in podcasting, I definitely thought that everything had to be perfect. I had the perfect questions, perfect response.
And
I
it doesn't
had this
exist.
image. I had this image
Yeah,
in my head of this is the perfect conversation, and I need to get as close as possible to that. And then, you know, probably 10 episodes in, I just dropped that, and I realized there's so many variables and conversations. I could
yeah,
have 100 conversations with the same person, and they're all totally different, but they're also good conversations. We just happen to cover different things. So with
yeah.
podcasting, I kind of dropped that quickly just based on experience. But I did feel that early on. I felt that more with baseball because
And yeah, yeah,
I was just going to say that, for people who've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that I played baseball for over 15 years through college, and you played baseball as well. We both have a lot of experience with that. I felt more of a perfection mindset with sports it's because there's a winner and loser. With podcasting and other creative pursuits, thinking about it as winning and losing usually isn't helpful. It's more just creating the best possible thing you can from a quality standpoint.
Hmm.
But when it comes down to a binary winning and a losing of a game, I felt the need to be perfect come up much more with the performance aspect as a pitcher than anything else I've ever done. So with that, I would say
Yeah.
I struggled much more. I don't know if I've ever gotten over that need for perfection as an
Right.
athlete, but I have
Right.
gotten over that. I think my experience as an athlete contributed to me working past that need for perfection as a creator.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. If you just see it as like a growth path, you know, it's yeah, perfection doesn't exist, but you could strive for it, but it's always like, you're gonna fail. It's cliche,
Yeah.
but you will, and then you just gotta, and um, and you know what? What I was thinking before is you could even take you maybe you do this already, but I was thinking you could take pressure off yourself during your podcast by asking, rather than trying to provide value to them, ask what value they bring to you, coming on your set, and how good are they going to be. So you're not trying to like prove anything to them or anything.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Y-
I thought about that. I think about that a lot actually with guests where most of being a good podcaster is listening, and then
right.
the rest is responding and being creative in the moment with those responses. But listening is the large majority of what I believe makes you a good podcaster. So that
Yeah.
is active, but it's also learning to let the other person express themselves. So it's a joint pursuit. If anything, there's not total pressure on just the host. Sometimes I speak more, sometimes I speak less, but you're right. That is something that helps me take the pressure of perfection off myself.
Yeah. So I actually thought of this question watching it, which was, he said the goal of non-attachment, we want to pursue, and what it is non-attachment is you pursue something but be okay with not getting it. Why is that so hard, do you think? Why is it so hard to be unattached to an outcome? Whether it's like relationship, career, why is that so hard?
For me, it's when I'm struggling to be more focused on the process and less attached to a specific outcome, it's usually because I'm comparing myself to other people. Comparison is usually the thing that makes me most attached when I'm looking at what other people do and I'm comparing
Mm-hmm.
my creations or my relationships, my fitness to other people, and I have no idea what step they are in
Mm-hmm.
their journey. Like it's like comparing cliche, but comparing apples to oranges. Like it's literally two completely different systems and different paths, and you have no idea the variables of what the other person has been dealing with. And when I get latched on to comparison of, okay, not only do I need my outcome to be good, but I need it to be better than these outcomes, that's when I become more outcome focused. And then when
Mm-hmm.
I remind myself that the only person I'm really competing with in a sense is myself, like if there is competition and creativity, it's with making something that's better than the last version of the thing that I made and not trying to make something better than someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And even that can get outcome focused sometimes. But for me, when I feel that, it's usually comparison to other people.
Yeah. No, I like that. Comparison is a real B. I think it's so because
A
everyone's
real
always around.
B,
A real bird.
A real bird,
A
dude.
real
Bird is the word. Bird, bird, bird. Bird is the
bird
word.
is yeah.
What about
So
you? When do you feel the most outcome focused and less focused on the present moment?
um outcome focus is when I see people's like stats and shit, right? Like numbers. Like,
Like
oh,
Johnny Sins his cock, like when you're having
yeah,
sex and you're
exactly.
thinking about a video with Johnny Sins where you're like, dude, he has a 9.5 inch cock and he just railed that girl for 48 minutes. Like I need this outcome to be just as good or better than that.
Yeah, if I don't get 49 minutes, I'm going to kill myself.
Oh yeah. That's how
It,
your friend died?
yeah,
No.
exactly. But basically, I think
Wait, so just
it's,
a quick tangent. If Johnny Sins had an open casket and he died mid-sex, do you think they would make a hole for his boner, like a casket glory hole?
I think it's not, do you think? I think it's, they have to. There's
Yeah.
no like, do you think, or else it's going to be 90-degree angle. So,
Yeah, you don't want
I
the
don't know what you
penis
were
to
talking
crack.
about here.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want the
Even,
penis to crack.
even dead, he would feel that. So that's
Yeah.
painful.
That would probably
So,
wake him back up.
what? Ah! Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah. So,
Outcome.
all
That's
right.
an outcome for you.
An outcome, and we all know how that's spelled.
Yeah.
Zach will spell it for you.
So
He'll put it in. He'll
so
put it in the podcast notes.
yeah. So
But
what you were saying
R.I.P. Jonathan. I was saying, just I think just it's similar to yours, but also, um, yeah, I think it's when I have this perfectionism come up, like rear its head, and then also, like just see people. That's why I try to, I have a love and hate relationship with social media because people are all doing great things. Like I love what people are doing, but then I start comparing myself. I'm like, oh, I'm not good enough because they're throwing this content out and they're doing great things, which is amazing. I'm like, how am I? And I'm thinking like, shouldn't I be rooting them on? I don't get what's happening right now, and it's like this unhealthy system that hits me, and I'm like, I have to like change, flip the switch off. Like these people are doing great things. Like stop comparing yourself. They're all different people. Maybe take a break from the phone. Stop focusing on just numbers and Spotify numbers. Like I remember like Russ, the rapper, talking about like how it's all about just the day to day grind of being in the studio brainstorming. It's not about the fucking streams. It's not about how many countries know who he is. It's about that like that every hour by hour kind of thing. So
mm,
that when I get out of that mindset, then then the problems arise for sure. But I have to get back into all right, just center myself and like just focus on the present moment, just where I am. Eckhart Tolle
yeah.
myself. I have to Tolle myself back into the present.
Mm,
I have to Eckhart myself back into the present.
mm. Totally. That's also a move by Johnny Sins where
Yeah.
he fucks a girl in a toll booth, the Eckhart Tolle, where he's like meditating but having sex in a toll booth at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's on the Williamsburg Bridge. He's in one of those toll booths doing that.
Exactly,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure.
I see him every time I drive past in an Uber.
Yeah, I mean,
So
he is everyone, right? He's been a police officer, lifeguard. He probably is a
dude,
toll booth.
Johnny, yeah, Johnny. There's a meme
It,
go. I forget what meme it was, but it's like, yeah, Johnny Sins is he's such an inspiration because he's a lawyer, a doctor, a plumber, just like all the different careers he's been.
exactly, dude. Exactly.
He's banged girls through all different professions.
Exactly. I
He's the
mean,
real he's the real ground zero story of you know you can be whatever you want to be as long as you put your cock to it.
exactly. That's a shirt. That's a new shirt you have to put out.
Yeah. So I wanted to end on this question that I had, or it's more of a just like a general thought. So this documentary Stutz has a lot of real-time therapy situations that normally aren't filmed. You're sitting in a room with the therapist. You don't have to worry about anyone seeing it or judging you. Do you think it's possible to have a true therapy session with genuine reactions and genuine therapizing when it is on camera, when there are cameras in the room and you can see them and you're filming content? Do you think that because having a camera, being on film 100% changes your psychology? I know this with podcasting, filming myself. You do this too. Like once you're on camera, even if you're just filming yourself and there's no one in the room, like you can feel this pressure of having to perform. Do you
Yeah.
think there's a way to genuinely analyze the therapeutic process of the patient and the therapist when they both know that cameras are in the room and they're being filmed?
Yeah, 100%, dude. I have rants in my car where I'm just fucking ranting. And then I'm like, oh, that would be good on TikTok. That was actually a pretty good couple minutes. And then I turn the camera on and I'm a scared little bitch. And
Well,
I
you
and I
rant to yourself in the car?
I no joke, I'll think of things and I'll just say it out loud while I'm driving. And I probably sound like I should be in an asylum right now, but I do it. And then I say it
What's the
as if I'm
last
like,
thing that you said out loud? Like a last rant you went on in the car?
oh, I had one today, dude. I'm trying to remember. I was
Yeah.
literally.
Just
I'll
like
have to
saying
think
the
of.
N word?
Yeah, you're sick. Uh, just I don't remember, but it'll come to me maybe by the end. Um, but I'll literally be there, just
I do that sometimes
do
too.
it. It's like I'm
I'll
doing like a fake comedy routine, or I'm doing like as if I'm in the shower singing, or like or it's a conversation I haven't had yet, and I'm like preparing for it, and it's like something I want to prepare for,
So
and
it's
then
like
I'll
you're
like.
going 80 in the left lane and you just close your eyes for a few seconds to visualize.
All right, I'm gonna say that, Dad, I'm moving out. This is it.
And then you
Yeah.
open your eyes and you move out of life.
And then you're sent up to heaven. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
moving to heaven, Dad.
but
But
yeah,
I
dude,
do that too sometimes. I don't drive as much because I'm in the city. So I'm usually taking the train or an Uber.
that's true.
But
I was
in
like,
my
dude, you got.
apartment, if I'm thinking of podcast ideas, I definitely walk around my apartment and like say shit out loud to try to pump myself up for podcasts or work out thoughts for podcasts and solo podcasts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like it helps, dude. I started not being afraid of doing it, at least on my own, when I read a book about Kanye's schizophrenia, where he has voices in his head. No, I'm kidding. I read this
Yeah.
book about.
Was it called Mein Kampf? Mein Kanye?
Exactly, exactly.
Mein Kampf,
Uh,
yeah.
it's actually on Amazon right now.
Hmm.
But no, this guy in Miracle Morning or whatever, he's like morning routine shit and whatever the fuck, and he was like, he started doing these affirmations where like his friend, he just saw his friend in the shower just doing affirmations out loud, very loud, and his friend was like very successful, and he's like, this is what he does every morning. He's like saying these affirmations to himself, like just like yelling and whatever the fuck, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start like just speaking out loud.
And he said, fast forward 3 months and it is friends in an institution.
Exactly. What
Yeah.
happened is they went to the house and handcuffed him, and now he's
Yeah.
what's happening is now he's being served
Yeah. It's
medication.
like my friend was just talking to himself in the shower, and then 3 months later, he murdered his wife and kids. And it's just
Exactly.
that's just how it comes together.
Exactly.
Um, but yeah, no, I think I do that. I'll say things out loud before podcasts just to like get myself in the talking mood, and then I'll also say some ideas out loud in the apartment or in the car sometimes when I'm driving. And I like writing shit out too. Like I think for me, writing it and then kind of like writing a couple notes and then expanding on a thought, especially with solo podcasts, is very helpful to practice verbalizing ideas and getting used to expressing yourself coherently so that you can take
Yeah.
that into the guest podcast.
Yeah. Um, it just kind of verbalizes, what's going on in your head. I think any way to do that is
Yeah.
great. So, but your original question was about,
Yeah, do
oh
you
yeah, if
think
the camera
that being
affects
on
you.
camera in a therapy session, do you feel that change you when you talk to the camera versus talking to yourself? And do you think it's possible to have a true therapy session on camera, a genuine therapy interaction?
Yes, but I think it would make you more like if you knowing this is going to be on Netflix or some shit, it would make you more emotive, like with your facial expressions and maybe do like dramatic pauses, possibly, or think a lot about what you're going to say as if you're an actor, kind of, or try to perfect the sequence. So I think you can, but it's going to change uh, the natural tendencies that you have because obviously you're not going to like if you know it's going to be shown to people. I think you might change a little bit. It's not like John Quinones, that's John Quinones. Like no one knows they're being filmed, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, sir, like how come like when the guy came in and beat the shit out of the guy behind the register, he didn't do anything?" And he's like, "Oh, I didn't know there's like 8 cameras everywhere."
Yeah.
But they now it's like, you know,
If I ever see John Quinones in real life, the first thing I would say is, and end scene. Okay, that is something that I would never do in real life. I'm practicing a scene and just, oh shit, John Quinones, what's up? What were you? You were just observing my improv class. This is
yeah,
something that
yeah.
I've worked out. Yeah,
I was thinking, dude, John Quinones is a great way, as long as they know who he is, it's a great way to get out of anything. Like you're just armed robbery in a bank, and the police get there, and you're like, wait, if you just look right there, we have a hidden camera in the corner, and you're actually on John Quinones, sir.
yeah.
Congratulations. We're just
It's like wait, so you murdered 13 people in a bank for for a TV series, and it's like, yeah, no, it's just
That's
these
correct.
people were paid. They look, they were paid $50 each to be extras. They knew what they were signing up for. Uh, and in microscopic print on the sheet, it said you'll probably be shot in the head during this shooting. So
You're
the
slowly
shooting,
grabbing the catch as you're
yeah,
saying that.
it's like, look, we said we were uh, on set. We said we were shooting today, and they signed up, and
Yeah,
we shot them. We didn't say what,
yeah. I think that would be a good skit. Well, oh,
but
there's if
yeah,
you look there.
I think there definitely is. I don't know. I'm more on the side of being on camera consistently. At least for me, turns on a little bit of a performative aspect that isn't totally there when there's no camera or no recording.
Hmm.
And as as I record more and more episodes, I feel that I become more and more of myself on the podcast. But there's still a veil of performance that shrouds me when I'm talking on camera that isn't there when I'm just talking to someone and no one's recording or I don't know anyone's recording. And so I don't know if you can ever get rid of that. I think the closest you could get to an authentic interaction on camera is more like 85, 90% maybe if you're really used to it. But I also don't think that's the point. I think it was just being able to show the tools that Stutz had
Yeah,
developed and see
yeah,
how Jonah Hill has used the tools because it wasn't a straight therapy session. There was a lot of back and forth, breaking the fourth wall interactions, showing you behind the scenes of what went on. So it wasn't
yeah,
just like they set up a camera and then they were like, all right, therapy, go. There's a lot of other aspects going on in the film. So I do think there's a psychological switch that happens when you know you're on camera and you
yeah,
can improve at becoming yourself on camera. But I also don't think in this case it mattered. I think it was still a good film regardless, even though the psychology of being filmed changes the way you would react to some extent.
yeah, yeah. There's no getting away from it. but you just have to work with it, I guess. But I think it looked pretty natural to me, actually. But there were definitely elements probably of acting.